Good morning, everybody. My name is Cheyenne Gibson, and I am a regional coordinator with the Nevada Census 2020 Outreach Team, my region being Region 3, which covers the northeastern section of Nevada. That includes White Pine County, Eureka County, Lander County, and Elko County. And today I'm going to be giving a brief presentation about the census. So our goals for the day is to understand the Nevada Census 2020 operation by looking at a brief history of the census, the importance of the census, the challenges moving forward, and finally, how you can all be involved from the safety of your home. So the census is a part of the United States Constitution, which mandates an enumeration or census every 10 years since 1790. This count will determine political representation for each state, as well as help determine where billions of dollars of federal funding will go. Quiz question: how many seats does the House of Representatives have? If you answered 435, you are correct. There are 435 seats in the House of Representatives, and those seats are taken based off of census data. As the Constitution puts it, for every 30,000 people, one representative is assigned to ensure that population's voice is heard and represented in our government. For example, in the 2010 census, Nevada gained a seat in the House of Representatives and redrew another congressional district. This is because in 2010, Nevada demonstrated a population increase by responding to the census. How many representatives does Nevada have then? If you answered 4, you are correct. The census ensures fair and equitable representation within our Congress. With that said, Nevada is positioned to receive more than $67 billion for the next 10 years. If there's an undercount, that means we are receiving less than what we deserve. That money that we should have gotten here in our state would go to another state like California or Idaho because they had achieved an accurate count of their population. Therefore, a need is demonstrated, and therefore they get that funding. So we want to make sure that that funding stays here in Nevada. So what has Nevada been doing to ensure that we get an accurate count in our state? Well, last year, the governor created the Nevada Complete Count Committee. This committee was tasked with developing census outreach strategies to facilitate the most complete and accurate census count in the 2020 federal census, ensuring that segments of Nevada's population, like rural Nevada, such as where we live, and hard to count communities, are not undercounted. So where does that funding go? The census affects economic development, public health, education, political representation, housing, and research. The census illustrates the need for resources. For example, if the census demonstrates a population has grown significantly over the years, that community might need, let's say, a new health center to adequately provide services for that growing community. It is important for us and elected officials to see how our state is changing and growing so that way our needs can be met. So why does the census matter in Nevada? Well, an example can be seen in fiscal year 2016. Nevada received over $6.2 billion from 55 different federal spending programs guided by 2010 census data. It is important to understand that the 2020 census data will be used for the next 10 years. And in 10 years, a lot can change. A person can go through substantial life change and might be needing and using those programs that use census data to provide those programs. So for example, if you are a college senior and you plan on going to school, you might need federal student aid to help you get through school. Federal student aid uses census data to allocate their funds for students. Or maybe after 2020, your little brother and sister are ready to go to school and they need to start Head Start. Head Start is another program who uses census data so that way the little kiddos in our communities can start school. So all of which is to say, we can't afford a loss in federal funding when we need these programs to keep us healthy, safe, and educated. So there are actually you can go online to census.nv.gov. To preface this, 80% of the United States received an invitation to complete the census online, which looks like the image on the right of the screen. And this invitation comes with a 12-digit code to complete the census. However, the other 20% of the United States, such as our rural communities, did not receive this invitation. But that's totally okay because you can still go online and complete the census. You do not necessarily need that 12-digit code. Just simply click, you do not have that 12-digit code, and then you can begin your online form. You can also call by phone. It is offered in several different languages, and then you can wait for your paper form. So since many of our rural communities only receive mail at a PO box and the Census Bureau does not deliver census forms how we receive our mail, you may be waiting until mid-June or July for your paper form, but they are on their way. There's also some challenges moving forward in the census, such as government distrust and misinformation that is given to all of our people in our community. And so, for example, some people may have reservations that their information isn't safe, or that the Census Bureau isn't taking their information and just making statistics out of it. Well, the Census Bureau, to just put your family's mind at ease, the Census Bureau will not ask about information regarding citizenship, social security numbers, credit card numbers, bank account information, party affiliation, or donations. The census is not concerned with any of those things. Also, the Census Bureau is bound by Title 13 of the United States Code, which says the Census Bureau cannot share your information with any other individual, business, or government entity. The Census Bureau collects information only to provide statistics. Census Bureau employees cannot share your information and are required to maintain confidentiality. Violating this law is a federal crime and is punishable for up to 5 years in prison or fine of up to $250,000. So that's really important that they're maintaining your confidentiality, and they are doing so. And then another thing that we wanted to touch on is hard to count communities. And earlier we talked about the Nevada Complete Count Committee. This committee has been very active in creating partnerships with hard to count communities. A hard to count community would be considered an African American community, Asian Pacific Islander community, Hispanic Latino community, immigrant community, LGBTQ community, and more. Through these partnerships, local business partnerships, and faith groups, our team is able to distribute the correct information to all community groups. So here we do have a self-response map. The Census Bureau provided a live response map, which updates daily. Currently, our state is ranked 26th, which is the best Nevada has done in census response. And so the state as a whole has reached over 50%, which is super exciting. Our rural communities, as you can see on the right, we still have some work to do, but that is okay because we have a self-response time up until October to get those rates up. And if you are feeling curious, you can go to 2020 census.gov and check out how our state is doing. Okay, how can you guys help? Well, you can share these census facts that you're learning today with your friends and family. You can encourage everyone in your home and then your friends as well to complete their census. And then if you guys are all interested, your class can compete in the 100% participation census challenge. If everyone's household in your class completes a census, you can report back to me and we can shout out your class on social media. All right, so since I am currently speaking to you from a computer screen, there has been some changes to our operation and your life as well. Our team has switched to an online approach, just as you are learning online too. We are still providing non-contact market material. Our team has assisted 6,000 people with their census in Nevada. That's $120 million for the state of Nevada. That's some pretty cool stuff. Also, the Census Bureau has pushed back their operation to June 1st, which means response rates will end in October. So we still have time to get in those censuses and get those response rates up. And then lastly, redistricting data will not be available until April 2021. Okay, so before I sign off, we do have a little class activity for you guys to do if you choose to do so. This is totally optional. And so you will be tasked with conducting a census of your classroom to find out how much money should be spent and where those funds should go. The data you collect will inform your decision about how you spend the money. So one thing to keep in mind is thinking about where is the need? What does this group need the most based off the information you have gathered? Lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching today. If you or your class has any questions, please feel free, to reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Stay safe, keep your head up, and we'll all get through this together.